A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down. Eternal life. That's what's promised to the elect. All right, all Israel. But it starts with the elect. And that's how the earth will be governed by immortals. Perfect angelic forces who are going to come down and rule on earth. Extraterrestrial bodies will be able to do things that humans do, but in heavenly bodies. Like eating, drinking. Did not Yahweh Shai say he's going to drink wine with us in the kingdom? Well, how do you drink wine with your body? Well, we're going to have out of this world capability of new bodies.
Look, when Babylon is destroyed on fire, it's going to shake up the whole world. We're going to be beamed up. The hopeful elect, if we're the elect, we're going to be beamed up. And we're going to see this destruction pursuant to Psalms 91 and other scriptures. And we're going to hover over Babylon and we're going to see the destruction. We're going to get a ringside seat to the war of Armageddon. And then we're going to come back down. When we come back down to the earth, we taking everything over. The singing to the Most High shall take the kingdom.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. All right, so we're going to get into tonight, dealing with a little news and prophecy. Make it short and to the point of Aratazar. But just, a few things going on. All right, and what we have to understand, what we're seeing, is the government of chaos. All right, just falling apart, and this man, he runs the earth. Since his beginning, he's ran the earth in a very chaotic way. Okay. But now it's just being exposed because the Lord is bringing this man down, and what we're seeing, all right, is a man, all right, that's desperately fighting, to keep himself in power when prophecy is pulling him out of power. Okay. And just the fact that he is the wicked, he's not built, all right, for rulership. You can't establish anything on wickedness. Okay. When what you do something small, something great, you can't establish anything on wickedness. If it's established on wickedness, it's going to fall. It's going to collapse. Okay. And that's just how Yahweh Bashim Al Shai has this thing set up. Okay. That's why it's only meant. All right. The only rulership that's spoken of being eternal is a righteous rulership. Okay. It's impossible for a wicked rulership to be established forever. Okay, because it destroys itself. All right, and that's why the devil, has everyone in self-destruct mode, because that's his nature, to self-destruct. All right, as we've went over. Okay, all this man's empires, they collapse. All right, the same way. Okay, through greed. Okay, through pride. Okay, and ultimately the will of the Lord. All right, so let's go here. Proverbs 28:2 in the NLT. It says, when there is moral rot within a nation, its government topples easily. All right, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. Okay, wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability, and that's going to be the government, okay, of Yahweh Shai. Okay, the Mount Zion. Okay, which you're going to have 12,000 men from each tribe, to make up that governing body. Okay, that's going to aid Yahweh Shai in bringing back stability to the earth through righteousness, man. Okay, because right now we're going through a phase of moral rot. All right, and Yahweh Bashem Shai is he's getting ready to get rid of this moral rot that's in the earth, man, which is Esau, Edom. Okay, and this wicked government, all right, that governs the earth, through great violence, all right, deception, theft, okay, enchantments. You see, and this is what the Lord is coming to bring an end to. Okay, so I have this video, real quick news report. What is it? Democracy Now. All right, just to touch on a few things. Okay, there's always something going on with the devil. That's how you know time is speeding up. Because things are happening more frequently. So let's play this. We get some precepts.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Venezuela is denouncing the U.S. for docking a United States warship in Trinidad and Tobago as tensions in the region continue to rise. The Pentagon's also sending the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, to the Caribbean. The carrier can hold 90 airplanes and attack helicopters. On Friday, the Pentagon announced the U.S. had struck yet another vessel in the Caribbean, killing 6 people. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the victims were suspected drug traffickers, but offered no proof. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro accused President Trump of fabricating a war.
Y el pueblo de los Estados Unidos lo sabe.
And the people of the United States know that they're making up a new eternal war. They promise that they will never enter a war, and they're making up a war that we will avoid. How? With the mobilization of the peoples of South America. As South America and the Caribbean all say, no to war, yes to peace, yes to prosperity, yes to harmony, and living together.
On Friday, the Trump administration sanctioned Colombian President Gustavo Petro, his wife, and other Colombian officials. In recent weeks, Petro's denounced the U.S. attacks on boats in the Caribbean. Also on Friday, 10 former Caribbean leaders denounced Trump's military escalation in the region.
So all the devil does is make himself more and more hated in every region of the earth, and real quick, let's get this. All right, because this, let's go here. The Bible describes this man, and this how this man is pinpointed in the scriptures through his characteristics. Okay, all the devil does is go throughout the earth and stir up strife. Psalms 141, it says, "Oh Lord," this is in NLT, "rescue me from evil people, protect me from those who are violent." Okay. Those who plot evil in their hearts and stir up trouble all day long. And this is all this nigga is doing. This nigga just blowing up boats, suspected. He's giving penalty. He's giving people the death penalty off of suspicion. Okay. And then it's a thing like that the CIA, okay, doesn't orchestrate, all right, the drug trafficking in America, man, and throughout the earth. And then he'll leave Venezuela and go do some wickedness in Gaza. Then he'll leave Gaza and go do some wickedness, and it's like, God damn. You see? But this is the man, those who plot evil in their minds and stir up trouble all day long, man. Same people, then he'll go and put something else wicked in the food, and then he'll come with a lockdown. You got to take this digital ID. If you don't got this, you can't work it. This nigga just plots evil and wickedness all day long, man. God damn. You see? So let's go back to it. Let it play. All right. Well, this man is just making himself more and more hated, in the earth. All right, what the scriptures say, well, he will be greatly despised. Okay, and we're seeing that play out. All right, also like go back to the video.
Former leaders wrote, quote, the gravity of the present signals demand we use all existing channels for dialogue to perpetuate a zone of peace, unquote. We'll have more on this story after headlines. An Israeli drone strike in southern Gaza has killed 2 people as Israel continues to attack Palestinians 2 weeks after the U.S.-brokered ceasefire went into effect. Officials in Gaza say Israel's killed about 100 Palestinians over the past 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Israel's continuing to limit aid into the famine-stricken Gaza Strip. This all comes as Hamas is expanding its search for the remains of 13 deceased Israeli hostages in Gaza. Over the weekend, a team from Egypt and the Red Cross entered Gaza to help with the search. We'll have more on Gaza later in the program. We'll speak with Dropsite News' Jeremy Scahill. On Sunday, Israel carried out multiple strikes in Lebanon, killing 3 people. UN peacekeeping forces in Lebanon also shot down an Israeli drone. The UN forces said the drone had dropped a grenade near the peacekeepers. Israel denied the claim. The U.S. federal government shutdown has entered its 27th day. Funding for food.
And it shows you that these peace treaties, is BS. I say they, get these peace treaty signs and they make a big press conference out of it, but these devils, they don't know peace. All right. And just their nature, all right, does not allow them, to have peace. Okay. But they push to the world, that they just going throughout the earth trying to establish peace, and America is behind every war, all right, that's on the planet Earth. America, all right, either finance it, trains, funds, they are involved in every war on the planet Earth to some capacity, man. Okay, but then they jump on camera, sign a peace treaty, shake hands with these foreign politicians as if they're about peace, man. Okay, that's all you hear. You just heard about Venezuela, then Gaza, then they bomb Lebanon, then but then he jump on. I need the Nobel Peace Prize, man. Okay, goddamn hypocrites, man. Let's get a couple more precepts. All right, and we let it go some more. So let's go to Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah 48:22. It says, "There is no peace to the wicked," said the Lord. All right, it said, "There is no peace," said the Lord, "unto the wicked." Okay, and this devil can't have peace because he's not built for peace. Okay, Esau would be uncomfortable if there was true peace in the world. All right, because that ain't how he built. Okay, and you people, keep believing this man. You got still, these MAGAs, even niggas. All right, they're still on the Trump train. Okay, and they hype this man up when he so-called, signed a peace deal, but Esau ain't built to make peace. This is what Esau was built to do. Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and that there was given unto him a great sword. So this man, Esau Edom, he represents, this is him in his power. Okay, this red horse. Okay, and him that sat thereon, Esau Edom. Okay, he was given, all right, power to what? To take peace from the earth. Okay, and he was given a great sword that they should kill one another, because eventually it's going to lead to an all-out war, to where these Edomite nations are going to shoot nukes on each other. Okay, Russia going to shoot nukes on NATO, and America, NATO going to shoot nukes on Russia, and then eventually everybody going to shoot troops, going to shoot nukes, okay, on America, man. Okay. This is where this war is headed. You see, these little skirmishes, they're going to lead into a major war till these devils turn these swords on each other. All right, and the EU and all the nations of Americans, Confederacy, their allies, are going to turn on them. All right, and burn the whore with fire, the scriptures say. Okay, so we're just watching the build up to these things, man. But when they push that peace madness, he's not built for peace. Okay, that's why I say they're gonna say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, because that's what they're built for, to destroy themselves, man. You know, with the weapons of the lords in the nation, which are these nukes, man. Okay, so let's go back. Um,
Assistance programs used by over 40 million people will run out on Saturday. Democratic lawmakers have criticized the Trump administration for refusing to draw on a contingency fund to continue funding SNAP and WIC benefits. Meanwhile, President Trump has said military troops will keep getting paid, in part due to a $130 million private donation. The New York Times has revealed the donor to be the reclusive right-wing billionaire Timothy Mellon. Budget experts say using a private...
Now, how tacky is this? Okay, you got $1 trillion government. Okay, but they need private, okay, donations to pay their military. How tacky is this, man? And what type of signal does that send to the military? Okay, we boast about them being the #1 military. The military budget is right at $1 trillion, but the actual payroll for the military, that's not. I mean, what are we doing? Okay, what the hell is going on? You see, this is tackiness, man. This man is going out in a very tacky fashion, man. Okay, it's almost looking like an Edomite trying to dance. The way this man's kingdom is going out is very offbeat. Okay.
Donation to pay troops would violate federal law. Meanwhile, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut appeared on CNN Sunday and said Trump is using the shutdown to expand his power.
He likes the fact that the government is closed because he thinks he can exercise king-like powers. He can open up the parts of the government that he wants. He can pay the employees who are loyal to him. I mean, this is a leader who is trying to transition our government from a democracy to something much closer to a totalitarian state.
President Trump has arrived in Japan, the second stop in his Asia trip. On the flight to Japan, Trump refused to rule out running for a third term in 2028, even though the 22nd Amendment forbids a president from being elected to office more than twice. On Sunday, Trump met in Malaysia with leaders of Thailand and Cambodia, who signed a deal to expand their ceasefire. On Thursday, Trump will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea during the APEC summit. Over the weekend, the U.S. and China agreed to the framework of a new trade deal. On Saturday, over 1,000 South Korean protesters rallied in Seoul to protest ahead of Trump's arrival.
나라 살림을 더 많이 지금 돌봐야 되는 상황.
At a time when our country should be focused on managing our own finances, the U.S. is acting like a robber, sudden, coercive, and almost plundering us, asking us to invest $350 billion, which is an absurd amount and nearly 80% of our foreign reserves, in the U.S. all of a sudden is far too forceful. I believe South Korea should firmly express its refusal to this demand.
And this shows you how informed, you know, these other countries are about how their government works, you know, and Trump is just going on a tour, you know, pretty much shaking these nations down to get them to invest into America, you know, and she's saying they want South Korea to invest $350 billion when that's 80% of their GDP. Okay, you know, so if you know, you got $100, you know, someone's, you know, bullying you out of 80. Okay. And you just see the proud look on that nigga face. But yeah, man, this nigga, he just, every time when Trump was in office last time, he did the same thing. He made America a global enemy to the earth, man. He's doing the same thing again. You know, that's why we here at GMS, all right, we love this guy in office, man. He gets shit popping. you know. So let's let it play some more.
In other trade news, President Trump's announced he's raising tariffs on Canada by 10%. The move coming in response to an ad produced by the government of Ontario that featured a clip of former President Ronald Reagan warning of the dire consequences of high tariffs. In Argentina, far-right President Javier Milei's party won a decisive victory in Argentina's midterm elections, picking up 14 seats in the Senate and 64 in the lower house of Congress. But it's still short of a congressional majority for Milei's party. It comes after President Trump earlier this month promised a $40 billion bailout for Argentina if Milei's party was victorious in these elections.
And that's a small hat. All right. So pretty much the American government, all right, bought, okay, the elections in Argentina for a small hat. Okay, and that money, those $20 billion, it's not going to go, all right, to, all right, the Argentinian people, okay, the tribes that's in Argentina. Okay, no, that's going to go, all right, to those high officials. Okay, you might get a part, you might get a little piece of infrastructure, okay, to make it seem like they did something, but no, that money is going to go, all right, into those Edomites, all right, those small hats that's in those high offices in Argentina. Okay, goddamn devil, man.
After the results, Trump told reporters, quote, "We've made a lot of money based on that election," unquote. Since taking office in 2023, Milei has imposed painful austerity measures on Argentina, slashing thousands of government jobs and curbing public investments in infrastructure, healthcare, and education, which led to widespread protests. Earlier this year, Milei appeared on stage with Elon Musk at the conservative CPAC conference in the U.S., wielding a chainsaw and giving it to Elon Musk to symbolize cuts to government programs.
And they constantly playing in your face. Okay, because the Argentinian, all right, which was a small hat, which the Argentinians, all right, the tribe that's there is mainly Asher. Okay. You see, but they constantly playing in your face. So this small hat, you know, is hacking up the government in Argentina. Okay, and then he hands the chainsaw to Elon Musk to come do the same thing in America, man. And they play right in you people's face, man, laughing at you people. Okay, while you argue about the midterms, you know, things that don't matter. Okay.
Voters in Ireland have elected the independent socialist Catherine Connolly to be president. Connolly's a critic of NATO, who's accused the United States and Britain of enabling genocide in Gaza. She spoke to supporters in Dublin Saturday.
I will be a president who listens and who reflects and who speaks when it's necessary, and a voice for peace, a voice that builds on our policy of neutrality, a voice that articulates the existence.
12 million have fled their homes. Hurricane Melissa has intensified to a rare Category 5 hurricane expected to make landfall in Jamaica Tuesday and pass through Cuba and the Bahamas later this week. Melissa could be the most powerful storm to hit Jamaica in recent years. The U.S. National Hurricane Center in Miami warned Jamaicans to remain sheltered during the storm. Forecasters are warning of catastrophic flash flooding and landslides throughout the Caribbean.
You know, and just pray for, you know, brothers in Jamaica, you know, the elect, you know, be covered, you know, like this, and this is how the Lord is jumping off. Okay, going into the end of the year, man, you know, Category 5 already, man. So, you know, it's expected to make landfall, and we'll see. But this is the time for what judgment is going to intensify. Okay. We're in the time where judgment is going to intensify and ramp up. Okay.
In Virginia, a 24-year-old Honduran man was fatally struck by a vehicle while fleeing federal immigration agents Thursday. Josue Castro Rivera is at least the fourth immigrant to be killed during an immigration operation under the Trump administration. Meanwhile, protests are continuing in Chicago over ongoing ICE raids. On Saturday in Northwest Chicago, Federal agents deployed tear gas at residents who gathered to protest ICE activity. The incident occurred as parents and children in the neighborhood were preparing for a Halloween parade. Meanwhile, White House advisor Stephen...
And the Lord just destroying you niggas' holidays. You know, may they get worse and worse. May this be the worst Halloween you people ever had, the worst Thanksgiving, all right, and Christmas that you people ever had, man. Okay? And you tribes, you fight tooth and nail, and still here it is. You're facing a food crisis, and all you're worrying about is a goddamn pagan holiday, man. You know, Jake is clawing and scratching. You know, they're still trying to pull off a holiday, a pagan holiday, man. Okay, and you can put it on the books that come Thanksgiving, these niggas going to be showing their Thanksgiving meal saying we can't be stopped. Okay, a Thanksgiving meal is gonna be a flex to a nigga. Okay, in these times, you know, like they unstoppable. You know, you watch. It's gonna be a thing on TikTok. These niggas gonna be showing off their Thanksgiving meal and talking shit. You know, and it's just gonna become the nation to them. Okay, but Jake don't see the signs of the times we in. Matter of fact, let's get there real quick. All right, boots on the ground. You know, food scarcity. Okay, you know, war. All right, AI, all these things are happening. Okay, and the nigga, all right, is still pouring everything they got into a goddamn holiday, man. All right, a pagan holiday. Okay, and you know the Lord pissed that nigga, man. Okay, this is the book of Proverbs 22. Okay, in verse 3, it said, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself," man. You know, and the Lord has a spirit on the elect to be prudent. All right, to be prudent in these times, man, which means to be wise and understanding the times we in. Okay, and make the adjustments according to those times. Okay, and we see we're in the time of judgment, man. And Scripture say, before judgment, examine thyself. It may be that you find mercy, man. Okay, we know we need mercy, man. And Jake is still doing the things that piss the Most High off. All these signs of of judgment at the door. All right, and Jake is still doing the things that infuriate Yahweh Shema Shah, man. And this is why the Lord is going to spare not and have no pity when he starts to really open up on Jake, man. Okay, but the simple pass on and are punished, man. Jake, simple. That's why Scripture say, how long will you love simplicity? You know, how long will you love simplicity, man? You know, no matter of fact, let's get this video real quick. Let's get this real quick. See if I can find it. Just to show you, all right, the mindset, you know, of Jake coming down the stretch. You see, a nigga only concern is a goddamn holiday. Okay, well, let's go here real quick. I think I got it in my and you bet this is gonna be a flex to a nigga showing off their Thanksgiving meals. I know niggas. I know niggas, man. The nigga woman, you watch. Hold on, let me share so like.
Trump cutting off food stamps right before Thanksgiving, bad and all, but my people ran out of stores. With the cart full, I bet it's gonna be some turkey on my plate. Ham, mashed potatoes, greens, dressing, It's gonna all be there. Don't worry about it.
Now, what happens when America...
You watch. All right, these niggas, that's gonna be a flex, okay, to Jake, okay. Oh man, and that's why when you go to the scriptures, let's go here. Let's see, is it more on there? Let me see, is something else? Yeah, we'll get this. You know, let's go here. Get this in the book of Ezekiel. I think that's the 4th chapter. So let's go here in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4. Okay, and verse you're just in the NLT. This is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 16 in the NLT. It said, then he told me, son of man, I will make food very scarce in Jerusalem. It will be weighed out with great care and eaten fearfully. You know? Right? The Lord gonna force you, Jakes, you undisciplined Jakes, to be disciplined. All right, you gonna have to ration. You know, every bite you're gonna be thinking like, God damn. You know, not knowing where the next gonna come from. You see, it said the water will be rationed out drop by drop, and the people will drink it with dismay. Lacking food and water, people will look to another in terror, and they will waste away under their punishment. Man, you're gonna pine away in the famine. The Lord finna break this pride that's on Jake, man. Okay, the Lord finna break this shit up. You see, well, all this going on, and all the nigga thinking about is a pagan holiday. And they're saying what they gonna do. They guarantee, she guaranteed that. You know? The scripture tell us to be thankful, okay, for daily bread. Okay, well, she's jumping, you know, a month and a half up and saying it's gonna be Thanksgiving ham, abomination. We're gonna have our abominable, all right, feast day. Okay. And may the Lord make you wicked, rebellious Israelites suffer, man, in these times. You know? So that was the point, you know, just want to touch on a few things. Lord will, you brothers and you sisters edified till next time. I say shalom. Kwam Yashala, Abba Soon, shalom.